Hello, very beautiful community. iStories done an investigation a few days ago claiming that over 49,000 Russian soldiers have deserted the front since the beginning of the war, though in reality the number is actually much higher. So let's have a look at what they say and then give a little bit of a political and maybe even a moral analysis, because we don't do military analysis here. Because in an epistemic catastrophe, and in a period of democratic decline, everybody's got to stay within reason in their lane. By the end of 2024, two lists of alleged deserters appeared online, and we've taken a look at analyze them. These leaked lists claim that the main reasons for being declared wanted are leaving positions at the front, fleeing from the territory of a military unit, and refusing to return to service after treatment. In some cases, the database compilers provide additional details. Mother didn't let him come back, or he broke his leg the morning of the train journey back. To create a unified database of deserters, we removed duplicates, clarified information, did this and that, and landed on 49,001. This number almost matches the estimate of the Ukrainian OSINT community for intelligence insight, 50,500 deserters. The Farewell to Arms organization believes that the leaked name lists do not reflect the real scale of desertion. Based on these databases, we can say that over the entire course of the war, the number of deserters and those who went absent without leave is more than 50,000. But these lists also cannot be used to draw conclusions about the number of deserters in Russia at this moment, says Alexei Alshansky. One reason is obvious gaps in the data, which show that the databases are missing some people who actually fled the front. In addition, the leaks do not cover the last year of the war, during which several thousand more people would have deserted. Now, that's a reflection of the ghastliness of the conditions at the front, the meaninglessness of Putin's war, and the desolate state of life in medium and small Russian towns and villages. I think it says much more about the meaninglessness of Putin's war than it does about Putin's prospects in the war or about Putin's regime stability. The 50,000 number, though likely it's a much higher number, doesn't threaten Putin's regime, especially if we think back across history and note that we were in the million-plus realm in the First World War when Russia experienced the revolution. What the hell is in the minds of these soldiers at the front? Now, I make a very important distinction here between what I call substantive support for the war in which they're participating and inferred justification-based support for the war the soldiers are participating in. Substantive support says, I have 2 or 3 good reasons of my own about why I'm here. And that's to do with defending Mother Russia, replaying the Second World War, denazifying Ukraine, defeating or fending off NATO. If you've got a clear set of reasons like that in your head and you're a Russian soldier, I would say that you have a position of substantive support for the war you're participating in. How many Russian soldiers would I guess are in that position? I would say in the very low double digits, so much closer to 10% than to 50% substantively support the war they're participating in. The vast majority have to have some kind of story about why what they're doing makes sense. That's human. But their story is largely a story of inferred justification. I don't know why I'm here, but their probably is a reason why I'm here. Otherwise, Putin wouldn't have started something so radical and dramatic. So he must have a reason for this, even though I don't know what it is. And then I might think, well, that's terrible that I don't know it. Shows something's wrong with politics in my country. Or you might think, well, it's actually good because it's up to the monarch to work out things that nobody else can decide on, and therefore it's not a problem at all that I have no access to the justification for the war in which I'm participating. But I do feel that in virtue of it just happening, the justification for it must be good, even though I don't know what it is, right? I mean, nothing is a greater illustration of this terrifying ideology washing around the globe today and infecting many Western politicians of authoritarian monarchism, whereby you basically say that the only institution with legitimacy in the land is the person at the top. If that's how you run a legitimacy story on your politics, then that's exactly the sort of justification for the war you're going to have in your head as a soldier who's been sent to the front by a regime. You're going to say the leader must know best. And you could have doubts, but there'd be doubts along the following lines. It's possible that Putin doesn't know what he's doing, but hopefully, because he's taken such a big step here, he does. Hopefully, he wouldn't have chosen to do this, given how big and destructive this is, if he didn't have some good reason to which I don't have access. Now, that's when it comes to the soldier's sense of why Putin is there and why the Russian army as a whole is there. But what about their sense of why they're there? Well, some are there to escape prison, and others are there on a business transaction. Quite a few are there on a business transaction whereby they feel that there's just a mechanism of exchange. They risk their life and the state gives them cash. And that doesn't feel to them like any kind of act for the community. It's a business transaction. And if it goes very badly wrong for them, they know that even their relatives might feel that the state hasn't wronged them much. It just offered them a business transaction and they took a deal. And if the deal's worked out badly, it's because they shouldn't have taken the deal. It was a bad deal, or because the deal just unluckily and contingently went south, but could have actually worked out more positively. And that's why with contract soldiers who get paid a decent amount of money, there isn't really any possibility for public mobilization about this, anti-war mobilization, simply because folks feel, well, Ivan next door engaged in a business transaction with the state and worked out badly for him. So this is a kind of radically depoliticized psychology that almost attributes a kind of a mode of internal colonization to the regime in the Kremlin. Well, we're living here. These guys are in charge. They're offering some of us a business deal. Some of us have rejected it. Others have taken it, and it's worked out well or badly for them. Now, one other thing I'd put on the table is that these soldiers are on the whole, incapable of answering the question who they're fighting for. And they're incapable of answering the question of who represents them. That's to say, if things are going badly, who's got their back? It's not clear to them. It's most likely going to be a feeling that somehow the local authorities in the region they've come from are the responsible party. Putin is going to feel too ephemeral and high up. The entire political system is going to feel kind of unreachable. So it's not clear who's got their back. And then when it comes to the question of who they're fighting for, that's also not going to be clear beyond some vague thoughts about Putin himself, actually, the only institution with perceived legitimacy in the land.